The storm in your brain model you're about to see is filmed on a very stormy and cloudy day. I really didn't want to make the film inside of the hotel, so that's why I'm still sitting outside. It's not that light, so I'm sorry if it's pretty dark, but I still hope it's an inspiring movie, it's an inspiring module, and it will help you to define the game changer. See, it's raining again. Have fun. Welcome to the second Game Changer module. In the first module, you got more aware of the stuff that is keeping you from living life to the fullest. And most of the times, just being more aware already guides you in the right direction. Storm in your brain is all about creating space in your head to think differently, have a different perception, and of course act differently. It contains 3 steps. The first one is clearing space. The second one is perception. It's all about perception. And the third one is storm in your brain. That's why we get real creative. So let's start with the first step, clearing space. The first step is clearing space. If your head is full and even your house is full, then there's no room left for some fresh air, some new views on it, new opportunities, no room for even wind or storm. Maybe just a tornado will shuffle things around, but that's not what we want. That's what we want to prevent a storm will do. So what are the phases you can walk through by clearing space? The first one is actually clearing your space. So clearing your house, your room, your desk, or even your computer. Just start with small steps. It will get the energy flowing. I read a book about it. Yes, I read a lot of books, but I hope I'm helping you saving time to give you an extract version of the books I'm reading. It's called Clearing Space, and it's exactly what I'm talking about, getting the energy flowing. So start with small steps. But it's also important for the people who are more organized that you don't need to get over organized. If everything needs to have a fixed place and if it's moved, it will get you restless, then the energy gets stuck as well. So clearing space, first phase. Clearing your body, the second phase. I know I talk about it a lot, but a healthy and fit body will help you to get towards your dreams. So you can either do it by exercising or, and preferably doing it by eating healthy. Exercising will get you sweating, will clear your body, and healthy food will actually clear your body from the inside. And you can start with eating loads of fibers or eating loads of nutritional antioxidants. And they really taste good. I mean, it's in all red and purple fruits and vegetables, and you can mix them with oatmeal and honey and nuts, and you can make your sort of own power bar. So clearing your body. And the third phase is clearing your mind. Your mind needs to be empty, especially when you think about your game changers and the stuff you want to change in your life. So of course you can meditate. And for the people who do meditate, good for you. Keep on doing that, especially while following this program. But the people who don't meditate, most of the times it's hard to start meditating. It takes practice. So there's a second, easier way to clear your mind, and I call it brain dumping. So take a piece of paper and write all the stuff down that really bothers you, that your boundaries, the stuff that really keeps you from living life to the fullest. And keep writing and writing and writing until you feel your head is more empty. And that's the point where you can start getting more creative. So if you cleared your space, then you still need to clear your perception. And that's the second step in this second module. Now that you've cleared your space, your head space and your actual space, it's time to look at your perception. Maybe already some new opportunities are laying right in front of you, but you just don't see them. There's a funny story about a guy who was drifting on a piece of wood in the ocean, and of course he was lost and he had no food, no water, and he was praying to God to help him. And suddenly a small boat came by to rescue him, but he said, "No, no, thanks. I'm waiting for God." And after a day, a cruise ship came by, and he said, "No, thanks. I'm waiting for God to help me." And then even a U-boat and a helicopter came by, but he said, "No, thanks. I'm waiting for God." So of course he died. And he ended up in heaven, and he said to God, "You know, I've been such a great person my whole life. Why didn't you help me?" And of course God laughed and said, "Hey, I've sent you a small boat, a cruise boat, a U-boat, and a helicopter, and you still refused." And that's the key about the story is you sometimes just don't see the opportunities who come by because you have a different expectation, a different perception. I wrote a small blog about perception, just check it out on the website, and it's about the color gray. A guy shows you two shades of gray. They're actually the same shade of gray, but you think they're different because there's a small shadow in the middle, which makes your mind think it's different. It tricks your mind. So even with colors, they're not always what they seem to be, what they look like. It's your perception. So try to look at the stuff as with the glasses. Oh, it's just my way of looking at it. And I want you to take the list you made in clearing space, your brain dump list, and look at that list. See if you can look at the list differently. If you can change your perception, look at it the other way around. And maybe that will start trigger something in your mind to like, hey, what can I change? What is my game changer? So the third step, storm in your brain. Sometimes you just need a storm in your brain. You're stuck in your same habits and routines. You're doing the same thing you're always doing, of course, getting the same results that you're always getting. But where to start? Sometimes you just need a storm in your brain. Get it. Some chaos. Your life will still be there, but get some chaos in it. Get some storm, everything falls out of place, and when it settles, it comes back into place. In a new, partly new order. And that will help you get seeing new opportunities. Of course, if you want to define your game changer and you already started it in the previous steps, you need some creativity. You need some creativity to help you think of new ways. And of course, there are a lot of techniques. But I want to share with you 3 techniques which really helped me to define my game changers and define what I wanted from life and how I should live life to the fullest. And I've seen them work on others as well. So, before we start this creative session, and I really want you to give into it, stick with me, trust me. I just want to help you. Um, Maybe you get uncomfortable, but sometimes that's the biggest step towards learning new stuff. So I always think it's helpful to keep moving around. I won't do it because then my film will not be as good. But keep moving around in the home or at least preferably outside with really fresh air, which helps your brains. So the first technique I want to share with you is reverse brainstorming. And it's a really cool technique. Um, you will think, huh, how does that work? Reverse brainstorming is trying to get things worse instead of better. So take the list of your boundaries, the stuff you had written down when you thought of all the stuff that were keeping you from living life to the fullest. And pick at least 3 parts of the list where you can say those are biggest influencers for me not living life to the fullest. And with reverse brainstorming, try to make them worse. And it's especially funny if you do it with other people, loved ones, really close people, um, and really get into it. So, for example, if you have written down time, I have no time, that's my biggest barrier for moving forward, then brainstorm about how you could get even less time or no time. So stuff your agenda, everything breaks down, whatever you think of that helps you getting no time at all. Get into it, make a cool list, do it with other people, and then immediately after doing that for as long as you want it to be there, but really feel like you're getting more creative, you will laugh about it, you suddenly get new ideas, then follow to the second technique. And the second technique is role playing. Pick a person who you think is very admirable and who inspires you, and look at the habits and routines you find in the first module and see how you would act and react on it and what you think about the routines you have if you were that person. So sometimes people say Mandela, or I would say Jane Goodall, or you can say you can pick your mom or a teacher, or it's really not important who it is. It should be somebody you admire. And try to really get into that role and then look at your own habits and routines and say, okay, how would I view them? And the second part of this second technique is to be yourself, but then 20 years older. So I would say I'm then 53. What would I look what would I look like? No. What would I feel and think about my habits and routines which I'm now having? And see if you could really learn something from that. If you can write down the lessons. Are there some game changers in there? And then, after the first and the second technique, the third one follows. All in one round, so all in a couple of hours. And that's the what if technique. What if everything you want in life is possible? And please do this as visible as possible. So visualize it in your head, but preferably draw it down, paint it down, make a mood board, whatever. You need to see it. You need to actually see it. What if? What if is it possible that you can live life to the fullest? So that were the three techniques for storming your brain. And now, if you look back at it, if you've done the whole exercise, and you look back at all the material you've written down, your drawings, and your lessons learned, what are the game changers you can define? If you look at them closely, which lessons you've learned, what is the stuff that you've writing down, and what are the stuff that will help you the most to live life to the fullest? I really want you to take time for it because it's an important step. So of course take a lot of time for the whole brainstorming part, for the reverse brainstorm session, for the role playing and for the what if, preferably with other people. But you can do it by yourself and preferably outdoors. But then take a step back, let it sink in, and look at it again and say, what are my game changers? Just one extra tip for the brainstorming session, because I know a lot of the people still are very constrained about letting go and being really creative. So I'll help you because, as I said, preferably you should move around when you're doing a brainstorm session. And it really helps before you start brainstorming to do some exercises to really get the blood flowing also into your brains. And of course, it helps you to act crazy. So I'm trying to help you with that one. Just do what I'm doing or look at it and laugh and then start walking. Okay, very good. Up to you. So I want to wrap up this second module. It's as compact as possible. The first part was about clearing space. So creating space in your head to be really open to new opportunities and to be able to get creative. The second step was your perception. Remember, it's all about your perception. It's not, the world is not as it is, it's how you look at it. And the third step was storming your brain, getting really creative, and see if you can define the game changers for your life. I know that this module is very short from my side, but I know as well that you should invest more in this module by actually doing the exercises. They will really help you. And if you've done them, then you can move to the third module, the last one, and it will help you to believe in yourself. It's called Magic of Belief. See you then.